According to John Heyman, the New York Mets are currently eyeing designated hitter JD Martinez. In this video, I'm going to be talking about JD Martinez and the kind of impact and fit that I believe he could have for the current New York Mets. If you enjoyed this video going over the latest Mets rumors and news, make sure to hit the like button at the ballpark. Slide into the comment section. What are your thoughts on JD Martinez, and is he a guy that you'd like to see the New York Mets pick up? If you're new to the channel and want to make my day, you could subscribe. It is always greatly appreciated. We are working on reaching 2,000 subscribers. I really appreciate the support I've gotten this past week, so all the time that you guys hit the like button, leave comments, it really does make a big difference. It really helps out that YouTube algorithm trying to fight through, try and get this channel growing and get it out there. So if you guys saw my Christmas wish list video, which I posted a few days ago, JD Martinez is actually one of the guys who was on there. Now again, similar to Lucas Giolito, who I talked about yesterday as well, not at the top of the list, but he definitely was on the list. He was higher up on Lucas Giolito because I do feel that designated hitter definitely is a big hole of this current New York Mets team. Right now, it looks like the New York Mets DH could be DJ Stewart or Mark Vientos. Neither one of these guys are very proven. And for DJ Stewart, yes, he did have some nice moments with the Mets. He had his hot streak where he had the nice OPS. He was hitting some home runs, and it was very exciting. But you got to keep in mind a couple things. Number one, he was doing it in meaningless games. So there was no pressure. The games didn't really mean anything. And the fact that we also saw some cold stretches with him too. And the other thing that's most important to me is that in his career before this year, he wasn't a very great player. I would count him being a big time contributor and being a guy that you could count on being your lineup every day. Mark Vientos, on the other hand, yes, he does have some potential. He definitely has some power. I mean, we've seen him showcase it in the minor leagues time and time again. But if he doesn't have that consistent playing time and he can't show it to us when he does get to play, then you can't really trust him as a guy to count on. At least JD Martinez, year in, year out, he does give you good numbers. I mean, this is a guy that is an all-star pretty much every single year. JD Martinez, he did have the bad second half in 2022, but he followed it up with a really nice 2023, hitting 33 home runs in only 113 games. Now, the big downside of JD Martinez is his age. Him being 36 years old, that definitely is not ideal, but again, I think that when you look at even JD Martinez at 36 years old, he is significantly better than the other options that the New York Mets are going to use at DH with the current team that they have right now. And as you've heard me and my co-host say on Mets Weekly all year long, and you've heard me say in my past few videos, I do think that this New York Mets team definitely could use a little bit of extra power, and more in particular, a guy who can protect Pete Alonso and bat right after Pete Alonso. I would just love to see how good Pete Alonso could be if he had another guy who could hit 30 home runs batting right after him that teams actually respect, that teams actually fear a little bit. If they had that guy on the on-deck circle, if that would change how they approach to pitching Pete Alonso, because I would hope that Alonso would be able to make the adjustment and be willing to walk more often if they're not giving him pitches to hit. Again, this is a guy who saw the second least amount of pitches in the strike zone this past season because teams had no reason to throw him strikes. There was no one batting after him that you're like, oh, we can't walk Alonso because we have to face this guy and that's going to be a 2-run homer. That wasn't the case when you're batting Daniel Vogelbach behind him, or even a guy like Jeff McNeil who was struggling and even at his best, not a power hitter. So I think having a guy like JD Martinez, I really want to see how much that could help Pete Alonso and see him really become his full potential self, because that's the thing. I feel like Pete Alonso is capable of being even better. I still think we haven't seen the best of him. We've probably seen the most home runs for him. We're not going to see, another season like we saw a few years ago, we hit all those homers. But I'm talking about as a complete hitter, as a guy who I think Alonso could have a better batting average that we've seen, especially this past year. I think he's a guy who could have a better on-base percentage. If he actually has that pitch recognition, he's always trying to be the hero and always trying to play hero ball by being the only source of offense for this team. If he actually had a good team around him and guys batting behind him, he might be even better. So that's something that I would like to see at least as an experiment. And with JD Martinez, obviously 1-year deal would be ideal. For me, it can't be anything over 2 years. And if it is more than 1 year, I would love for that second year to be a club option, just so you can see how the first year goes. If he starts breaking down and he's missing a lot of games, he's not his same self, then at least you'll be able to decline that second year and not have to worry about having to have him another year when he's older and things could get even worse. One of the other things I really like about JD Martinez is the time that he spent in Boston and the time he spent as a World Series champion. He got it done when the lights shine brightest, when they mattered most. JD Martinez got the job done. So Boston is an environment that has pressure, not the same pressure as New York, but there definitely is some pretty intense pressure there. And when you're in the World Series, there's always a lot of pressure. So the fact that JD Martinez was able to handle that, I feel like he should be able to handle New York. He's a guy who has an awesome personality, tremendous in the clubhouse. You're not going to worry about, him coming to New York and things going bad off the field. That's not going to happen with a guy like this. I could say that for certain. So that's another thing that there is to like about JD Martinez. And one of the other things to like about JD Martinez, that for his whole career, he's been a hitter who's been very good against left-handed pitching. And we know the Mets have been very bad against left-handed pitching these past few years. So that'd be another reason why he'd be a perfect fit for this lineup. I mean, just last season, JD Martinez had an OPS of 925 against left-handed pitchers. And he had an OPS plus of 145. So JD Martinez was well above average when it came to facing left-handed pitching last season. And when you look at the other free agent options, especially guys who are going to be DHs, I just don't think there's too many guys out there right now. I mean, yes, you do have Jorge Soler, who I definitely prefer more than JD Martinez, and I wish the Mets would get Soler instead of JD Martinez, no doubt about it. I even probably prefer Jock Peterson because he's younger, but still, I think that the Mets have got to look at something, because if you're not getting JD Martinez, the next guy is Adam Duvall, who Duvall can give you power, and he could actually play the outfield. So that's one of the things he has over JD, because right now, Martinez is strictly a DH. Even a few years ago, he was not great in the field. He's never been that fleet of foot, so I think that no matter what, he's just going to be a DH. Whereas a guy like Adam Duvall and even Jock Peterson, those guys could play some DH and also play some corner outfield. So, and even with Duvall, he could technically play center field a little bit, but I wouldn't do it too much. He's another guy who's also getting up there in age, and he also strikes out way more than JD Martinez does. And then with Jock Peterson, he's a guy who can't really face lefties, where JD Martinez destroys lefties. So everyone kind of has their pluses and minuses, and you kind of have to really evaluate each player and say, all right, which one can we live with their deficiencies the most, and who do we feel like we could overcome their weaknesses with the current team that we have? I think based out of those guys, I feel like JD Martinez is the best fit, because again, he can face righties and lefties, and he's just a guy that offensively is a perfect fit for this team. Now, in this same report, John Heyman does also mention that the Angels is the other team that is monitoring JD Martinez, and he definitely would be a fit pretty much anywhere you put him. If you want to give Mike Trout some protection after losing Shohei Ohtani, the Angels are also going to need a DH as well. So I definitely could see him going there. If he does want to stay in LA, he can just go to the Angels, because it does look like there's much space on the Dodgers now with Shohei Ohtani being there. So, I mean, it kind of be a little bit of a trade. You have JD Martinez going from the Dodgers to the Angels compared to Ohtani going from the Angels to the Dodgers. So we'll see where JD Martinez does end up signing. We'll see if the Mets choose him or another bat, because regardless, I do want to see the Mets get definitely at least two bats. One guy who could play the outfield and one guy who could be a DH, because I feel like both of those are weaknesses right now. I would not rely on DJ Stewart or Mark Vientos to be everyday players. I do want to see the Mets use at least some proven commodities. I understand that they want to go with some of these projects. They signed Luis Severino. We talked about Lucas Giolito yesterday, but can we at least get somebody who had a good season this past year, and this guy that year in, year out puts up good numbers, is a household name? Is that too much to ask for? I mean, I sure hope not. So I would be totally on board for the Mets getting JD Martinez. Again, let me hear what you guys think. Also, be on the lookout. I do have a big video coming out January 10th. It will be the update on the New York Mets untouchable prospects. I do it every single year. It was a video that was requested by a viewer, Hello AK, a few years ago. I've done it every year. It's done well on the channel, so definitely be on the lookout for that. So once again, if I don't see you guys before the new year, it seems like the Mets have had a lot of rumors lately, so you might see me again before the new year. But again, if you don't, Happy New Year, everyone. Thank you again for all the support. And until the next one, be safe, be smart, and let's go Mets.